everybody. Welcome back to the breakdown. I'm Tone, and it's really great to have you here with me once again. Once again, I must apologise for delays in getting my videos out to you all. As promised, I had a video to do with the Black Lives Matter march in Melbourne. Now that's over 2 weeks ago now. I will just say, as expected, no coronavirus issues. One was mentioned on the news, that's petered out into nothing, although we do have some other stuff going on in Victoria right now that's unrelated to that march, but is related to the virus, and I'm sure everybody in the whole country is aware of that, because Victoria is likely to be the state that's holding everyone else up from being able to completely open up our state borders. Anyway, the video to do with Black Lives Matter march and everything like that, that's still being worked on, so my apologies for that not being out yet. But as we know, life continues moving forward and issues continue to come up that deserve conversation and to be broken down into their various parts so we can understand what's going on. Now, you may have noticed that I have a parcel here sitting next to me, and it's just arrived, which was the catalyst for getting this video underway. And so I'd like to bring you in on opening this up. So let's see how my parcel opening skills go. I've got some scissors here. I'll be a bit of a cheater. Now the reason for this being a part of this video is because we're going to talk about economy today, and some very important things that I think a lot of people overlook because life is super busy, and we've been programmed to go to work and to make money and to just do all those sorts of things, but not really look at things as objectively as we could. So just put this off to the side here and we'll open it up. Now this is a brand new Perth Mint collector coin that I have recently purchased. Just put that out of the way. Now this has been opened. I bought this off of eBay. It has been opened. I'm not sure if you can see the outside box there. Just open it like really gently because we want to keep the box looking pristine. Being a collector coin, the shipper and the case and everything being in good order is good for resale if you ever want to resell. Okay, put that off to one side. And I think it's got magnets holding it closed, which it does. Okay, so I think I've actually undone it upside down, so we'll just put that back. And I'll sit forward, hopefully you can see what it looks like. Comes with a certificate of authenticity. Take off the cover, put that down to the side there. So that's the certificate. It's coin number 295. Very good. And then underneath here, there it is. So we've got a little foam protector thing. And then inside is a 2-ounce silver kookaburra coin. We'll just show you that there. Hopefully you can see that nice and clearly. Okay. Now let's get to the point of this. I shall put it away. I've been a coin collector for a while, precious metals coin collector for a while. Now I have a okay collection going on. But what's prompted me to do this type of collecting is we've got to understand about economy. We've got to understand what this world is really based on. Our world's economy is really based on, and to protect ourselves from what can certainly be a loss of value. Let me elaborate. I think perhaps I just put this away because I keep thinking about a few things. So we'll get this story straight for you. Now, the reason I want to talk about this today is because things like interest rates, precious metals, currency markets, all those sorts of things are outside of what I think the general population think about. And for me, I've been thinking about this stuff and learning about this stuff for years. I was already learning about it and understanding the concepts of it, including debt, country, national debt, and all those sorts of things, and how that impacts your life directly and indirectly without you even knowing or really thinking about it. And of course, we're all going to remember the 2000 crash. We're going to financial crash. We're also going to remember the great financial crisis of 2008. We're going to understand that. We're going to remember that. But there's a number of things I want to draw your attention to help you understand. So in that time, while money was being printed like crazy in the years following 2008, I explained to anyone that would listen, interest rates would drop. Friends, family perhaps that would be taking on debt, taking on loans, I was doing my very best to help them understand that locking in interest rates when interest rates were around 7%, 6 or 7%, don't do it. Don't do it. The interest rates can't stay high. Well, of course, what are we looking at? We've got people being able to have money borrowed on like 2.5%, 3%. Now, I knew that was coming. That doesn't take it doesn't take rocket science to understand that. But that's not the point. The point is not necessarily understanding. The point is even knowing. So that's that aside. We're not looking at interest rates going up for a long, long time. It can't happen. The market is already priced in so much that we can't. And the Federal Reserve has been printing money hand over fist for years now, and they're not slowing down. They've actually sped up during this corona stuff. They really have. They've just been flat out, and that money has been flooding across all countries across the world, borrowing. Their central banks are borrowing the money that's been flooded out by the Federal Reserve. Okay, so why am I telling you all this? Well, let's go back to pre-2008 when the crash happened in that time. Even after we had the financial crash in 2000, pretty much gold stayed around an average price of $500 an ounce. And I remember looking back at that and seeing that data. I mean, it moved, sure. And I'm going to generalize the figures because what I'm trying to give you is a concept. I'm not going to go into great detail about how it all unfolded and what values. I just want to simplify it down and give you an understanding so that you can get that concept of what's happening to what you have, the value of what you already own, the value of the money you're earning, and everything else. Now, for thousands of years, gold and silver and other precious metals, but specifically gold and silver, have been money. Now, there's a disconnect that happened early 1900s, 1913, I think is the day, the year, when gold and silver started to really be disconnected from actual currency. So it's still money and recognised as tangible asset, but fiat currency took a massive leap forward, and since then the disconnect has continued. What do I mean by disconnect? If we were to say that around 2000 gold was on average $500 an ounce, $500 per ounce Australian, which was the price of gold. Now we then say that currently gold is being priced at 5 times that value. Now I am simplifying the figures, but just bear with me. What does that mean about the value of the Australian dollar over 20 years? It means that it's now worth 20% of the value that it was 20 years ago. Or there is 5 times the amount of Australian dollars that there was in 2000. That's a scary thing to think about. Did your wages go up five times? So if your wages used to be $30,000, are you making $150,000 per year? The answer is going to be no. It's going to be no. Now, if you've got houses, house prices have gone up, being a tangible asset, but how much you're being paid has not gone up like that. So what does that mean? Okay, so if you have $100,000 in your bank, saved up, and you've saved it up over that 20 years, the buying power of that 100,000 20 years ago compared to now is 20%. You've lost 80% of your buying power. Now, the reason I talk about this is because I need everyone to have, or I really want everyone to have a good grasp of this concept. And it's the reason why I have precious metals. And I think that it's become very, very important to get this message out there, because I really should have been telling more people about this in the past. And I don't regret very many things, but I definitely regret not saying this to my family and my friends, especially about this. Again, I don't know if they would have listened, because many went and took their high interest rates and locked in for 5 years, and it cost them, thousands of dollars more in interest, because the interest rates dropped over that 5 years. So I can't be sure that if I did share it, anyone really would have listened. And I can't be sure that anyone's going to listen now. But that's not on me. On me is getting it out there and explaining it to everybody. That's what I've got to do. That's on me. All right, so the reason I want to share this is because if, for example, you had $100,000 of savings, I know that's a large amount of money, but even 20,000, it doesn't really matter what value you say. If over that 20 years, for argument's sake, you amassed $100,000, and especially before 2008, if you had have been forward thinking enough, I wasn't. I mean, I understood the system. I didn't realise just how much of an impact it could have, especially after the financial crash. That's when people really, I think, started to understand the financial system a bit more, that it actually runs on debt. Before that, so many people that I would try to explain, hey, this system runs on debt, and I'm going, no. But money that you borrow from the bank is based on money they have on deposit. I think more people now understand that that's not the case. And therefore a fairer pricing of gold has occurred. But what was I going to say? Yeah, so if you had $100,000 amassed over that time, but during that time you also, if you were doing investing in shares, and if you're going to do that by yourself, get an understanding for yourself and do it. Managed funds, been there and done that. They're a joke. They don't look after individual customers. They lose. If the market dives, they don't do anything to mitigate that risk, but they still get their commission on the side. That's largely something to do with the Banking Royal Commission. I'm sure you've heard about that. A lot of that was they weren't taking care of people's money. They weren't doing anything right. But anyway, so if you had $100,000 and you've amassed that over 20 years, and that's in your savings, if you had have been putting 10% of what you were earning into gold, so it's difficult to pick the right time, but if you thought, okay, it's come off it's come off low, it's the lowest point you saw it for that year, and each year you did try to do that. Timing the market, it's difficult to do. It is possible to do it some if you're watching it closely enough. You'll never necessarily pick the bottom or the top. But if you had been amassing 10% of your income into gold all the way along, including the years when, gold came off from $1,800 an ounce to $1,200 an ounce, came all the way down. If you hadn't been buying gold, 10% of your income was in physical gold. Now, when the gold price has finally caught back up to where it really should be, because it was being pressed down by the fact that equity markets were flying high, then in actual fact, the current 100,000 that you do have, assuming you have that, would actually have been quite a lot higher than that, because the part of your portfolio that was precious metals, which is a hedge against the losing value of the dollar, well, you would actually have more buying power than the 100,000 that you have now. So let's just say that based on this, it's crude measurement, it's not 100% accurate. But if we say that the price of gold, which is a measure of the value of money, was worth $500 an ounce, now it's worth $2,500 an ounce, which means the Australian dollar is now currently being valued against gold 20% of its value back in 2000, 20 years ago. The dollar has dropped, not gold has gone up. So gold's value is a measure of money, a measure of currency or fiat currency. We've lost 80% of that value. Apply that to your 100,000. Your 100,000 that you have saved has the buying power equivalent of $20,000 if you had that 20 years ago. If you had 10% of that value that you've saved up over that time that was sitting in gold, then gold is allowing your buying power to stay stable against the currency. And that's the point of gold and the point of silver. Now, I encourage you to take what I'm giving you and go and do your own research. Open your mind to the concept of how value is actually being stolen away from you. The buying power that you have with your dollars is being taken away from you. Look at how much things cost now. When I went to school, 2013, I finished school then, like a 600ml bottle of Coke was like $1.80, and then everyone kicked up a big stink about the fact that it went to $2. Well, I don't know how much that costs now, but I know it would be a heck of a lot more than that. Sorry, 2013. 2003, I mean. 2003. I am getting old. But our buying power is being stripped away. The reason it's being stripped away based on the money that you have in your savings is because there's more and more and more and more money being printed, being created. I hope that that helps you understand something that I really hope you can get a grasp of. Now, I'm not suggesting go out and buy tons of gold or a lot of ounces of gold or a lot of ounces of silver. If I was going to suggest something, I would suggest silver over gold any time of the day. But especially now, gold, that's something else. I think we cover this just so that I can assist you. Okay, so you'll be able to go verify this on the internet for yourself. Have a look. But if we say 20 years ago, gold was worth $500 an ounce. With that $500, you could buy, with that 1 ounce of gold, you would be able to get around about 50 to 60 ounces of silver, right? So it would cost 50 to 60 ounces thereabouts to buy 1 ounce of gold. So the ratio is 1 to 50, 1 to 60, something like that. What we're looking at right now and what we've just seen, so we're looking at about 1 to 100. So 100 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold. In March, it really stretched right out and it was like 130, right? At least 120 ounces of silver to buy 1 ounce of gold, which means that gold has done its move up. And generally speaking, silver follows harder than what gold does when it goes up, and silver follows harder down. When gold goes down, silver goes down further. So what we saw when gold did its initial move up in 2008-9, silver raced up in 2011. Now, I believe that phenomenon may happen sooner rather than later, a lot closer to the move of gold, but it hasn't done so yet. To a 2,500 an ounce Australian per ounce for gold, 26 or 25 and 50 for silver. Basically 100 to 1. So what I am saying is, it is never too late. Well, at this point, it's not too late. Gold has already gone on a run, and if it did come down a little bit, then perhaps that would be an option. Again, I'm not giving financial advice. What I'm trying to do is to help you understand that in another 20 years' time, what if your $100,000, which used to have the same buying power as $20,000 20 years ago, because you've lost 80% of the value of the dollar, what happens if that does it again? But most likely it'll do it at an accelerated rate. It won't just be 1 to 5. Double that out to 1 to 10. No, it's probably going to be 1 to 20. So $100,000 in 2040 will have the same buying power as perhaps $2,000 in 2000. So over 40 years, you lose 98% of your buying power. But in saying that, what would that calculate out to be? The price of gold. So just understand that there is daylight robbery going on right under our noses. The majority of the public still, I think, don't really grasp what's going on because they're too busy, and understandably so. They're too busy working, having their families, going to work, and trying to make the money to be able to survive. But if we're able to be a little bit more frugal and keep putting money to the side in physical assets, I mean, you can buy a house and you can have all the value in the house and even have that house debt-free. That's fine. But money in the bank, well, we know how safe that is, don't we now? I think we do. I think Greece is a very good example of how safe our money can be if things are not so great. But if you hold a tangible asset, something that has been money for thousands of years, and you have access to that to be able to spend that, to be able to sell it off at a current value of whatever the value is of silver or gold at the time, and get fiat currency, which may still be the mode of transfer of value then, at least you know that you bought an ounce of gold when it was $2,500. Gold is now $5,000 an ounce, but that $5,000 still buys hopefully a similar amount of stuff to what 2,500 did when 2,500 was the price of gold. And that's what I hope you can take from this. And it's the reason why I invest in coins, gold, silver, bullion. It's a hedge. A lot of people say invest. That's probably not the right word. I think I just said invest. It's not an investment, but it's a hedge against the continual and never-ending devaluing of our dollar. Fiat currency only has the value because, we agree that we're going to trade dollars. If everyone decided that they no longer wanted to trade in Australian dollars, then all the $50 notes and $100 notes and 5-cent pieces, although 5-cent pieces are pretty much worthless now, but all of it would be worthless. But then how do you transact with something that does have value? I know we say that gold and silver has value and that therefore gives it value, but it's going to have far more value because it has uses beyond just being a currency. That's how it got its value. That's what I wanted to share with you today. I want to help as many people as I can understand the concept of wealth erosion that has been going on for a long, long time now. And it's not stopping. It's not slowing down. I think perhaps I need to cover this as well. Now, I'm not a financial expert, but I do watch what goes on, and I have been looking at markets for a very long time. And I couldn't give you great advice in terms of exactly what to do and when. I'd be a millionaire if I knew all of that. What I am going to say to you though is be very, very, very careful in the next couple of months. And the reason for that is our share market has had a nice V recovery so far. We had a traumatic drop off in March. From February to March, just absolutely collapsed. We haven't got all the way back to where we were. We're still we got to a bit over 7,000 on the All Ordinaries, and we're now around the 6,000 mark. So, but we went all the way down below 5,000 in March. So we're halfway back up. But let's look at the American market. For contrast, the American market has actually gone a lot harder up than ours, which is, I think, why the Aussie dollar is still below 70 US cents, because their market went a lot harder than ours. But let's understand that the number of people that are unemployed, let's understand that the amount of money that's being pumped into the system right now, it doesn't equate to a share market recovery or an economic recovery like we're seeing. And I think that it's very, very important that we understand, especially if you've got money in managed funds. I can't express myself strongly enough. If you've got money in managed funds, if you've got money being looked after by other people, their interest is not yours. Their interest is they're employed by you to get their commission. If things go pear-shaped, then what people lost in value in 2008, I can only imagine it's going to be that much worse the next time it happens. And we already had a window to look through just in March. So just be very, very aware of not only your dollar value being eroded, but money being lost, your hard-earned money being lost due to these extreme share market swings. In the past, I've been bitten, and even in more recent times, I've been bitten sometimes. Overall, I've managed to beat the market mostly. But they are ruthless. The market is ruthless. This is not a buy and hold market anymore. It is a trading market, and most certainly it is a shifting of wealth from those that don't really know what they're doing to those who have big enough and deep enough pockets to be able to manipulate it in such a way that it takes it away from you. So, take your financial future into your own two hands, take the responsibility, and protect yourself. Get on YouTube and do what I've been doing. Watch some videos about gold, watch some videos about silver, platinum, palladium, rhodium, all of those precious metals. Do your research. Understand that your wealth is being eroded from you in terms of you going and working your hardest possible. You're working as hard as you possibly can. You're working your hands to the bone, you are tired, you are frustrated, you look at everything around you and just think, wow, what am I even working for? You're working for the potential to have 20% of what you're actually working for in terms of buying power in the next 20 years. 20% of what it is now, or 10% of what it is now. You're making $20,000, or able to put $20,000 a year away in savings. 20 years time, that might only be worth, what, $2,000 in terms of buying power of what you can spend it for now. So I really encourage you to understand this. Get the word out to everybody possible. Hedge against the dollar. Don't put everything into it, because that's of course very ridiculous. But right now, I think a portfolio should be containing a lot more gold and silver than ever before. Whatever percentage you deem necessary. If you've already got a fairly limited debt, then it's probably not a bad idea to have a larger percentage in precious metals. That's what I'm doing, and I wouldn't say it if I wasn't doing it myself. I've been doing it for a long time. I deal specifically right now in coins because they have the intrinsic value of the metal, but they also have the rarity of how well known the coin is, how many coins there are, etc. But it is something that if things went really pear-shaped and our dollar loses even more value and the government continues to stimulate, continue to put financial aid out there and all this extra money and all this extra borrowing, if that continues, then the devaluing of what you've got in the bank is gone. It just keeps going down and down and down. Where does that leave you? That leaves you in a lot of trouble, because you've worked so hard to get where you have. Even the little that you may have, it's better than nothing. But imagine if it's worth next to nothing because you can't really use it to buy anything. You can't have what you need because the value of what you've already worked so hard for has been whittled away to nothing. I just want to share that. I feel very passionately about it. I'm sure you can tell. This world that we live in is a very evil one, where people steal right from under our noses. The ones that run the system are the ones that do the stealing. And that's something we've got to wise up to and see for ourselves. Do your research, please. Go to understand about metals, the values of them. Don't go silly buying everything and not having the cash that you need. By all means, have precious metals, have cash on hand, not in the banks. Understand what happened in Greece. Go to check that out, please. Go to understand that they bailed the banks out. People who had debt, people who had loans or minus numbers in their bank accounts, all of a sudden had more, and those who had a lot more money on deposit ended up, everyone just equal, had the same. Has the hint of communist sort of talk and understanding, looking at that, making sure everyone has what they need regardless of how hard they've worked for it. That's a scary concept and something to understand. When the money is in the bank, it's not your money. You've signed it over to them and they pay you interest and they use your money as collateral, as whatever. And then when you go there, you can take it out because it's your money. Understand that. I can't really stress it enough. go to check it out. With that being said, I just want to say thank you very much for your continued support. I hope that this video has opened your eyes or inspired you to go and check out what's really going on. Be aware that I'm watching the markets very carefully at the moment. I want to see what's going to happen just after the beginning of the new financial year. I've heard stuff, so I can't verify it, and I'm not going to go into detail about it. But again, research as much as you can and understand what potentially could be around the corner. Understand that there is a supply shortage on certain things, and people have not been working, and there is no basis whatsoever for the share market to be pushing high like it is. The markets are going great. Based on what? Ask yourself that. Go find out what you can. Share this video with everybody that you think might benefit from this one, and encourage everybody that you're talking to at least consider and understand, so that we can learn. This concept was something I knew about to a degree before the crash of 2008, and yet I didn't do anything because I was too young and too naive, and just trusted the bank, trusted the advice that I got from a financial advisor who may or may not have known any differently. And then I've learnt from that. Now, remember the saying, fool me once, shame on you. If you deliberately fool me once, it's shame on you. But if I'm fooled twice, now that's on me. So let's learn from the mistake then. Let's learn from what happened 12 years ago. And be much more well prepared for what could very well be around the corner, even this year. God bless you. Thank you for joining me on the breakdown today. I'm going to get this video out to you as soon as possible, because like I said, this is sensitive information. This is stuff that people need to know. Thank you. I know it's a very serious topic today. I'm really, really happy that this coin has arrived. That's made me happy today. It's a brand new design, brand new everything. And collecting something, if you're going to collect anything, have any sorts of collections, how about collecting something that has intrinsic value to other people, not just something interesting for yourself? If you've got stuff laying around, a bit of a hoarder like me, and you've got some stuff that you think other people might get benefit out of, but you've never used, and it's just taking up space, get out there, probably sell it off to someone that's going to use it, for one thing. Get the currency that they're willing to pay for that, and put that money perhaps into silver or into gold, and actually have something that has value, that's a lot easier to transact with, etc. That's something that I'm thinking about doing. That's why I say. We'll leave it at that. I'll get the other video or other videos out to you as soon as I can. But in the meantime, I hope that this has been informative for you, eye-opening for you. I really encourage you to go check it all out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone's word for it. Go verify it for yourself, because the truth is verifiable. You can work it out for yourself. The people that are in control don't want you to, and that's the incentive to go and do it. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next videos. Bye-bye for now.